there's this comic book called Conan, and I was reading a couple of issues, and he's getting this sidekick, which is a chica with the mental illness haircut, purple hair and all that. And she actually becomes the main character. I mean, Conan is her sidekick. And this is supposed to be Conan the comic book. And that's all nice and well, but I paid to read Conan. Why am I reading the story of some other chica? Why can't you put the chica in her own comic book and leave Conan alone? Well, the answer is because no one wants to read the chica, right? So they have to force people, I guess, to read it, but unfortunately you can't force people to buy entertainment, so Conan drops in sales, plummets. And now it seems they are going to do this to Indiana Jones, right? They want to replace Indiana Jones with a woman. Now, so he's going to get this sidekick, a female sidekick, and she's going to probably outshine him throughout the whole movie, and towards the end of the movie he probably dies and the woman takes the mantle and whatever. Now, I don't know why you want to do that when you already have Tomb Raider, which is literally the female version of Indiana Jones. So, from my personal experience, I don't know if I'm wrong, please correct me, but I think that men enjoy Tomb Raider more because men like looking at an athletic woman climbing rocks and doing stuff. That is something that has a more appeal to a male audience, while Indiana Jones had an appeal towards the female audience. Seeing Indiana Jones, why do you think he's like this? Why do you think his chest is exposed in this setting? Yeah, why is his arms or muscly and stuff? Because women like it. It's appealing. That doesn't mean that women masturbate while looking at this, but it's like having a steak, right? The steak is good, it feeds you, but if you put some salt, some seasoning on top, adding a little bit extra, it's a better steak. So this is the seasoning, right? This is the little extra. It doesn't mean that women go oh, this is no. Just, people admire the perfection of the human body of the opposite gender. And by the way, Indiana Jones, from what I know, has a bigger female fan base than Star Wars. So if it's broke, why fix it? Why are you trying to tinker with it? There's literally no reason. Now, you might say, well, V, what are you talking about? How do you know all of this? And, are you being like Anita Sarkeesian? You're just whining. And it's no, I'm not whining. It's literally, they're flat out telling you, if you listen to the writer, they're desperate to tell you. It's we want to make this progressive. Listen to us. It has to be for the new era. Times have changed. And we need to be at the forefront to give people what they need, not what they want. And I don't know how much times have changed, but I watched the previous movies with Indiana Jones. They're great. My wife hasn't seen them. I showed it to her. She absolutely loved her. I don't know what exactly has changed that classic stopped being classic, or why do you need to change a classic? Times have changed in what? Are we sending rockets to the moon? What does it mean times have changed exactly? Can anyone tell me? What does it mean times have changed? So if in 10 years times are changing again and everyone is a hardcore Christian and a religious nugget, do we need to give Indiana Jones a crucifix just to make him Christian? No, can you just write a good story? Just leave the fucking times alone, please. Just leave the times alone and write a good story. Is that so hard? But no. Until they make sure that Indiana Jones merchandise doesn't sell, they're not happy. So they're bringing this writer who also wrote the upcoming James Bond movie. I'm curious how that's going to do, but she wants to give the film a makeover for the Me Too era. I love how they say the Me Too era as if it's some brilliant discovery for mankind. We're inventing the new steam engine, and it's the new steam engine era. By the way, is there a single conservative, a single right-wing person that got Me Too'd? Honestly, is there? Because I can't think of any. All the people that got Me Too'd are people from Hollywood, the most progressive places. Hollywood, universities, and progressive media outlets. Has a single person from Fox News got Me Too'd after the Me Too era, for example? That's what I want to know. So many male feminists got fired. So many Hollywood progressive people got fired. But I can't think of a single conservative, which is probably why they kind of dropped the whole Me Too thing. Feminism has been dropped. When's the last time you heard about the patriarchy and rape culture and all of that in any news article? Right now, it's all about transgenderism and racism, but not about feminism. Did you notice that? Probably because it started affecting the people at the top. That's very interesting, isn't it? Right, so they give this lady an interview, and she says that she wants to make the movie more relevant for the present and the current era and whatnot. It's like, it's a classic, you know. How can you make the Mona Lisa relevant for the current era? What does that even mean? How can you take something like Beethoven and make it more relevant for the current era? Like, what, are you going to use an electric guitar to play it? I mean, maybe you can try, but are people going to listen? Is it even the same audience that's going to be interested? So, you know, the reason that I'm upset about this, by the way, because obviously I can just choose not to watch it, but the thing that really upsets me is that the actor is getting old. You know, unfortunately, Father Time exists. And this was a golden opportunity to give a last hurrah to the Indiana Jones franchise. And if you wanted to actually, okay, you want to have a woman, all right, that replaces Indiana Jones. I'm a man, I don't mind. I mean, I like watching boobies. I have no problem if I'm going to see a pretty lady on the screen, you know, an Angelina Jolie equivalent. Fine. Why can't you have it that Indiana Jones marries, and he has a kid, right? He has a daughter, kind of like in the Avengers with Tony Stark having a daughter. Why can't we have that? And in the beginning, maybe she's not even interested in archaeology. Maybe she's not even interested in her in the adventures. And she's very clumsy. She can't do anything right. She can't use the whip properly. She doesn't know all the history and the lore. But throughout the course of the movie, she stays with her father. You know, maybe they're looking for the mother, that someone kidnapped her or whatever. And they're going on an adventure. And she has to learn. She has to adapt. And she has to use the whip properly. She becomes more fit. She does all these things. And it's like a journey that we, the audience, can move along and get how it's like to become a hero. And you get to see the hero journey from A to Z. And at the end of the movie, you know, she becomes competent. I wouldn't make her like fully competent, but still, so that she has more room to grow in the future. But she becomes competent. Maybe Indy passes away from natural death, and that's how the movie ends. Because again, the actor, unfortunately, you know, is going to grow old. It's not like a comic book where Batman doesn't age and he remains young forever. So I understand, you know, it's a movie, of course. You know, actors have to at one point stop their acting career, so their characters can't be played by the same actor. Fine, you know, like have him die. And then we can have a new trilogy with Indiana Jones's daughter. That would have been excellent. But unfortunately, we're not going to have that. If you really wanted to please the fans, by the way, I don't know who has the rights to Lara Croft. But what you could do, and this would be just absolutely amazing, why don't you have Indiana Jones having a son, and he passes the torch, and maybe in the future we could have a sequel where you have Tomb Raider allying with Indiana Jones. I mean, the fans would definitely love that. Everyone would watch that. That would be great. And make sure that it's not one outshining the other. Make sure that they're both equal. And yeah, I mean, that would make for an excellent movie. Everyone would watch it. But unfortunately, we're probably not going to get that. Unfortunately, what we are going to get, and this is what I think, is that Indiana Jones is going to be completely outshined by this lady. And towards the end, maybe she's even going to steal his mantle, like we saw Rey do in Star Wars. Like Rey Palpatine, all of a sudden, she's like, she takes Luke's lightsaber, she takes Luke's ship, she takes his farm, and in the end, she even takes his name. And it's like, okay, right, what is the message here? Like, what are you trying to say? Fans didn't like it, unfortunately. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.